So I'm Adrienne.
I'm Abby.
And I'm Tamara.
And this is like our 5th episode of this podcast, I think.
So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this week I think what we wanted to talk about was mental health on social media, and not so much just like Abby wrote about the social dilemma, which talks a lot about mental health and like in relation to social media, how it's like obviously bad to be on a screen for like 4 hours a day or whatever. But I wrote about on Songbird how there's a lot of like self-diagnosing going on, and how it's everybody critiques people when they self-diagnose themselves with like ADHD or like saying they're on the spectrum, autism spectrum, and it's like very dangerous for young people who like they like these there's no like real accountability for these people. Like a 16-year-old is saying, if you like feel this and this, like anxious in new social settings, yada yada, then you could have ADHD. And it's just such generic like symptoms, which yeah, it's true, but it's just
But we all feel them sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like important to kind of acknowledge that social media can like and does have an impact on like mental health, but there's also like a limit to that and how much you can like take social media's word for it. Because like even with like influencers on social media, like they're like quite damaging sometimes to like young impressionable users when they're kind of like they talk about mental health, which is like a good thing, and they kind of promote the awareness of it. But then with that, it kind of makes their followers question whether that they kind of have it as well. So with like, I don't know, I can't think of one in particular, but just generally they're like, oh, like I really suffer with anxiety. These are like this the symptoms that I have. And all of their users who follow them to be influenced because that's their job. Yeah. They think, oh my god, so if they have those, if they feel anxious, then I must feel anxious because I want to be them. So yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's quite like a catch-22 situation, I guess.
I think it is a catch-22 because it's great that people who like feel this way and do have mental illness, diagnosed or not, that we can come together like on social media and feel related to one another. But there's also like a commodification of being relatable. So like you said, Abby, like influencers are talking like, oh, I have this, blah, blah. And if you relate just in like a little bit, you're like, oh, that's me too. Like I definitely have that. They have no, especially like early Gen Z, they have no like frame of reference. Like why would this person on the internet be lying? They're literally learning.
They don't question them.
Yeah, exactly. Like why would you? It's an adult. It's someone's like 5 years older than me, and they're saying that this is true.
Yeah, and I think there's another issue at hand that a lot of the younger ones don't realize either, and that is, if you with anything, if you keep saying, let's say you believe that you do have anxiety, and then you keep saying it out loud, your body will listen to you, and you'll keep experiencing feelings that you could say, oh, this is anxiety. You know what I mean? So your body's very open, it's receptive, it's listening to you, and it wants to protect you. But then when you hear these things and you actually believe it, you become actually anxious, and you start having these symptoms just so you can believe yourself, just so you can be like, oh yeah, I do. Like it's like self-proving, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's very dangerous. Sure. It's very, very dangerous.
And I know you have, did you say a younger niece?
She's my cousin. She comes over, and she's been saying this phrase, it's because I have so much anxiety. And she's young. She's like 15, 14. She is on TikTok, and she says this phrase a lot. Like it's in her head, like it's becoming a habit. So when I asked her about it, I'm like, why? What do you feel? she didn't know what to say. She just said, I just feel like I can't breathe, like I just feel anxious. I'm like, sometimes these are normal. We're humans, you know, we feel certain things. And it really just goes back to the fact that these kind of issues need to actually be diagnosed by a professional. And a professional needs to test you more than once and do their own tests so they can actually diagnose you with these certain problems. And then there are ways you can help yourself and treat yourself. But this whole social media spreading awareness is good.
Yeah.
But they always they have to, I think these people that go out on these platforms, they have to keep reminding others. We have to tell them, like, we have to try to push that idea, that keep reminding them that you mentioned at the end of the video that this is my own personal experience. Get help, ask someone professional, because, you know, like, they have to remind people, because people forget and people don't know either.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
especially because like their job, the people that are saying this, their job is to influence, like they're influencers. So it's so kind of easy for them to be like, this is what I'm feeling. And because I'm an influencer, it's like a trend to feel the way that I do.
Exactly.
Aspire to kind of relate to these influencers so much that then they kind of work themselves up thinking that when they even experience like a slight bit of anxiety, they kind of automatically diagnose that with like a mental health, like a medical mental health issue.
And that's a really good point. And it's kind of goes back to what I was saying about, it's like a commodity, like these influence, like I've noticed a couple months ago, the like kind of hot button thing was like, oh, you might have like undiagnosed autism, because it is true in women with autism and ADHD, it's like very underdiagnosed. So people see that this is a trend, people are talking about this right now, so they jump on it and say like, if you have this, this, and this, and it's like they're completely unqualified and they're benefiting from it because it's something that people are trying to talk about right now.
Yeah,
I think
it's dangerous.
Like important to like, even like social media, like you can be influenced by it, which is, it can be a good thing. So with like mental health, you could kind of see these people and like kind of question whether you have a mental health issue, and then you go seek help. Like you shouldn't use social media to diagnose yourself being like, oh yeah, I've got that. Then you should use it as a, oh, I feel kind of the things that my favorite influence is feeling, maybe I should go and get like, just go and get checked up, rather than like straight up being like, yeah, I've got that. Like
that's me. Yeah, like I saw a thread, so like that I have autism, guys. Mom, dad, it happened. I don't know how you didn't catch it, but
it's in me.
Oh shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh. Okay, you guys go ahead. I'll remember it.
I think with social media, any influencer that has like a high following count and a lot of people watch them and follow them, whatever they say is gonna be more glamorous. So, you know, even if it is an issue, even if it is mental health, because they're such in a high, you know, everyone looks up to them sort of in a sort of a way, it's more glamorous. So people, some people, not everyone, I think some people that maybe have less awareness will think this is maybe even cool, or maybe this is something they can gain attention from and say they have blah blah blah, or they think they have blah blah blah. But I think the most important thing to do is, if you suspect you have something, then just go speak to a professional. They're the only ones that are gonna know.
Yeah, I agree. And while kind of researching that, when I was writing my article about this, I did come across like a few takes from people who were upset that people were getting upset that people were like self-diagnosing. But there's also the issue, I'm sure you guys know, in the US, like our healthcare is like a complete mess. A lot, and now there's a pandemic. A lot of people don't have the ability to, they don't have the expendable income to pay like a $200 copay to go see a psychiatrist. And really get themselves tested. So that's a problem. That's like a symptom of just our priorities in this country.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, honestly, to think about it. The healthcare is horrible. They have a good, maybe it has a good reputation, but then when you actually look into it, it's not great.
So with like your healthcare, does you have to like you're on insurance, right? That pays for your healthcare, is that right?
Yes, depending on until you're 25, depending on your mom and dad's job, you stay on their insurance, and their insurance comes from their job. So like my dad has a different insurance card. Like I have to carry these around with me everywhere, and my mom has a different insurance card.
So does that insurance cover like mental health?
Sometimes, if it's so complicated, honestly.
Yeah, depends on the situation. It really does.
Yeah.
And what there are different types of insurances and what they cover, and it's very commercial. It is very commercial.
Very, yeah. And it's not all like, there's not just one card for like all of my healthcare. I have different vision, I have different dental, I have different all that stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because obviously like in the UK we're all like covered by the NHS.
So how much would it be, how much would you say it'd be to like go visit the OBGYN?
I don't know. What do you mean how much? You don't pay?
So no copay, like nothing?
Nothing.
Like to get a smear test, for example. Yeah. It's through the NHS. You don't pay.
What about to like get your teeth cleaned?
Yeah, you have to pay for that, but if you're but only if you're like on like state income or you're a student, then you don't have to pay for it. But if you're on like if you pay taxes, then you have to pay for dental stuff. But yeah, I mean, other than that, everything else is free. And like even mental health stuff, like the waiting list is ridiculous because it's free, but you can you can go to the NHS for like mental health issues. Like you can talk to people for free.
And to call an ambulance, like if you get picked up by an ambulance, how much is that?
It's through the NHS. Like you don't have to pay.
You guys are well taken care of.
Yeah, really, because it's like couple thousand for us, right?
Yeah, even with insurance, you think you're insured and you're good. No, some things are out of your insurance and you still have to pay a couple $100 for whatever.
And then like if you have an accident and you have to pay, your insurance goes up. Like you have to pay more on top of that.
It's just mad. Like
it shouldn't even be called insurance. It's just like, do you want to live?
I am like really lucky. Like we are really lucky.
Yeah. See, you wouldn't think it's like that here. But when you really look at things, and when something, God forbid, happens, and you find out that, oh my God, my insurance doesn't cover that, I have to go to a certain doctor, but I want to go to this doctor, but my insurance doesn't cover this doctor. It's like it gets complicated. And then when you look back at it, it's like, oh my God, it's all about money. It's commercials. Like it's just money. That's what they care about.
I know in college when like someone would have like way too much to drink, I've heard about this, I wasn't there, they'd be like, no, don't call an ambulance, and they'd just Uber them to the hospital to like get their stomach pumped.
It's crazy. People have to find shortcuts to not go broke.
which brings me back to, it's like you search on WebMD or like Mayo Clinic, you're like, why is like my head hurt for like the past like 2 days or whatever, and they're like, okay, yeah, it's a brain tumor. So then you freak out. It's not that easy to just go to the doctor. So when these young impressionable kids are seeing these symptoms that are like pretty normal, like it's normal to have like a headache once in a while, but they're seeing like, oh my gosh, I'm anxious, like I don't feel like I communicate well with people, like this must be what's wrong, because we can't naturally just go to the psychiatrist like whenever we think something's really wrong.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's just kind of like an easy way out, isn't it, to see a TikTok and be like, that's what I've got, rather than having
Yep.
the faff of like
Yeah.
insurance and everything. Because like here, if I like, so even for example, like my friends, like a few of my friends and people that I know, and I'm sure so many more people in the UK, like this past year, people have obviously been suffering with mental health, like
Yeah.
more than like any other year. Sorry, my dog's in the way. And you can just like ring up your GP, like your doctors, and just say, oh, like I feel anxious, blah, 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 and then you can just talk to them on the phone, like for free. And then like if they think
That's amazing.
then they can just like prescribe you with like medicine or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, so in the UK it seems like it's easier to kind of deter away from like the TikToks and actually be able to go and see someone, rather than like in the US. Because like with the US, like you met that young people only kind of do have social media then to diagnose them. Like it's hard. Like it's mad. I just can't get over it.
It is. So
yeah, it's crazy.
That's like the most, like that is the most important thing that like the government should surely be like providing.
Well, we'll see if now things are gonna change with the new president and everything. We'll see.
I don't know, man. I think Bernie Sanders was our only hope. I mean, the DNC will just like do everything in their power to like keep him from winning, just like they did the past 2 elections. But not to get on my little political Bernie Sanders train. But so I have a question. What is the responsibility, do you think, of sites like TikTok to kind of combat this, or is there any?
I just don't. I don't think that. I don't think that they can control it. Like they can't regulate it like how they would want to. Like for example, like say like a really big influencer posted about, like they can't regulate an influencer posting about it. Like they can't. Like it's, what can they do? They're not going to go through every account and be like, no, you can't post that. You can't post that.
Well, I mean, you know,
with the, when in your article you like listed like the TikTok, that you quoted the TikTok terms and stuff, and they were so vague because they have to like, they have to keep them vague to avoid any like
backlash
back on them. So
I think it is hard to keep it. It is hard to keep it controlled. There's too many people on these platforms, especially on TikTok now. But I don't know. Maybe if they just like do a general ban on certain topics like this, just have no one talk about it, or at least have some, like they sent, like whoever wants to create content like that, they send it to someone or to an account or something. This way maybe it won't help much, but maybe people will think twice before they want to talk about or their own issues and try to diagnose others. You know,
I think it is important to talk about it, but I think like people need to kind of figure out the best way to talk about it, and not like make people question their own like selves. I think like it's important to like put it out there and put awareness of mental health and like make it a topic that's not like that people can talk about and feel like they can talk about. Because even when like when I was like looking through your article, I was saying like, I told you that the US are just so much more kind of open with like mental health than like the UK. Like you guys, like it's like you guys are like, it's normal to have like it's not normal, but it's normal to speak about having a therapist. Like it's just part of like routine.
They're not embarrassed about it.
It's
like nowadays
routines, whereas in the UK it's kind of a bit more hush hush. Like
that's so
that is interesting. I think it's like that in the Middle East too. It's like that in the Middle East, and I don't know if Europe is like that too, but
I think it's just just like stiff upper lip, isn't it? Like don't show emotion, like keep powering on. But,
And from what I've noticed with millennials and Gen Z, like mental illness, like depression, anxiety is like part of how we describe ourselves as generation, like as these two generations, like I'm in the middle, like we're like, oh, we're all sad, we're all depressed, we're all anxious. It's almost like so normalized, and and to like be like neurotypical or whatever is an anomaly basically, because everyone is it's like the new way to kind of fit in, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not
you see these words everywhere. That's the thing. You go, not just on TikTok, on other platforms, you go and you see these words, that you see them. So
Yeah,
whenever we're in normal life, we're feeling something off, we're gonna pick those words. Our brain is just, our database in our brain. It has those words that you've seen on your screen on these platforms. It's gonna pick it up and it's gonna throw it. But they
yeah,
don't realize your body's listening to you. It's
yeah,
gonna react.
yeah.
There's consequences. It's so dangerous. It's underrated how dangerous it is.
Really, it's so bizarre too. Like, you see everyone saying, "I'm anxious, I'm depressed," and you're like, "Geez,
Yeah.
I'm me too. Probably just undiagnosed," you know?
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is.
Gosh, I really hope they do something about it. I
Well,
really do. I really do.
I think you know those banners at the bottom of TikToks that say like this is a dangerous activity, or like for more
Mm,
information on the coronavirus, go to blah blah blah. I mean, there could
right.
be a banner like that for like stuff tagged by mental health, you know? But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's a corporation, and that's just more work
Yeah.
for the people they pay to do. So really, they don't have. I don't think TikTok has a responsibility to do that. I wish they did,
Mm.
but
I think if they got reported enough,
yeah,
or
yeah,
these videos got reported,
yeah,
maybe then
yeah,
something will happen, maybe then.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
I think it's kind of the point of these videos aren't being reported because the watchers don't know that what they're watching is like toxic.
exactly, yeah,
Mm,
That they don't know that it's wrong. Like, I mean, I probably scrolled down TikTok and watched videos and not realized that it's impacted me or influenced me, but it has. And we're only like,
true.
we can only sit here now because we're like really like reflecting on it and thinking about it, but we're probably influenced like daily by
oh,
things that we
Oh
see.
yeah.
for
We're
sure,
all influenced. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
even like,
We
yeah,
it's human nature. We
yeah,
can't control it,
I know,
you
yeah,
know?
I know,
it's nuts,
I know.
Pretty scary.
yeah. Was there anything else anyone wanted to talk about?
I think we covered it all. I think I'm gonna start reporting anything that I see
Yes, good,
on
yeah,
TikTok or even other platforms, honestly,
yeah,
just so I could feel like I'm doing something to help these kids that are getting affected. I think I'm gonna take it personally and just personally report anything that I see
yeah.
that's coming from someone that doesn't, they're not a doctor, like,
Mhm.
what are you saying?
I'll have to send you the link to this woman who fact checks like 10 videos a day of people like
Mm,
giving stuff, and you can have your cousin follow her. She's great. She's so funny too.
yeah, we need more of these type of people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
definitely a
Well,
good conversation to have though.
yeah, for sure.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
thank you.
Talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay. Bye.